Good afternoon. How's everyone? It's great to be here. Chris did reach out to me a couple of months ago, and I guess my first as a coach, as a family man, as a guy that kind of knows the ins and outs of the deal. I said, just be patient. And my number one thing I said was make sure you're doing two things. A, you're communicating with your coach, because there's nothing worse than not communicating. And I've seen general managers and owners not communicate, and I know that Chris did do that. The other thing was I just stressed to get a futures list together with college players, junior players, veteran players from the other leagues that would be eligible to come out next year, because the recruiting process is very, very tough. And there's so many leagues and there's so many teams, and then you've got Europe and you've got just so many different opportunities for these guys these days that you need to be on top of it. And typically it's the people who make the first impression on a player or an agent. If in fact the player comes to your league, you usually have a better chance of getting him. That doesn't start in June. I mean, that should be an ongoing process, and I think that's something that I've been stressing to them. And I know that it's a tough situation. I don't know Marco, and I don't know Chris, but I do know them. They're family guys. They're pro hockey players. They've had good playing careers, coaching careers, and so I know I have a lot of empathy for them. I know what it's like to get on the bus when you've got diapers to be changed at home and your wife's tired and you're going for 12 days to Oak City and Tulsa, and I know what that feels like, but it's part of the job, and that's what you buy into. There's more benefits to this job than there are detriments. Those guys obviously really enjoyed their job, and there's no doubt in my mind. Some of the questions I asked were, was there a lot of yelling? Nope. Was there a lot of threatening? Nope. Was there a lot of players benched? Nope. And those are the typical responses you usually get from a coaching staff who's kind of not only out of answers but out of control. These guys kind of stayed the course. Players were disappointed. I'm sure a lot of you people have personal relationships with the players, so you know them socially. Maybe it's just a casual acquaintance. But I think the overriding thought would be, hey, they were good guys, they worked hard, it just didn't work. So that brings us to today. And, probably I just thought of this as I was looking with the trading deadline gone. That might be a good thing for Sundog hockey, because a guy like myself may just come in here and say, okay, we've got 16 wins and 53 games. We're going to make some changes. And a lot of people make changes just to make changes. I think with the trading deadline gone, that locker room is what you're going to see from now until the end of the season, whenever that may be. I haven't seen the magic number, but until I see the magic number that says we're done, we're not done. So I'm sure it's not big. I hear it's in the 9 or 11 range. I also heard that we haven't beat Rapid City. We're 0-12 against them. I've heard a lot of things. I've heard we've lost 23 one-goal games. I've heard a lot of things. So if we could line up a lot of things why it's not working. We didn't do that this morning. Met with the guys this morning at 10 o'clock. I pretty much gave them the same approach that any pro or college coach I know and respect would give them. First thing I addressed was why we're all here. This is what they do. They do this by choice. They need to move forward. I honestly believe that first 5 minutes was key to the beginning of my relationship with them, which is very key to what's going to happen in the next 13 games and beyond until that number is 0, the magic number. Drew up a practice last night, very high tempo, kind of a straightforward, progressive practice. They jumped out. My biggest thing was I had to get a couple of the guys together, a couple of the captains, and actually, figure out who's who, where the lines were. I didn't change much. Hoodie's been playing forward and defense. We've got him back on defense at least at 4-14. Could change. It looks like Corey Toy, is going to be back in the lineup tomorrow. He practiced with us today and was cleared by the trainer, and so he yet probably not in late season game shape. I don't really care. I just want to see him on the ice and see him out there competing and playing with his teammates, helping his team perform. So there was a lot of positives down there. The practice we ran was great. I thought it was great. You'd have to ask them, but high tempo, awesome. They were joking around. The older guys were all over the younger guys. The younger guys, of course, I'm having a tough time figuring out who's young and who's old. But it was good. It was good. It was good. Reeder was awesome in net. He was a guy, obviously he's a pretty important part of the puzzle. We've got one goalie here. Spillane is up in Springfield. We did reach out to Bruce Landon at Springfield today in the American League. He hasn't responded yet. Try to get a better feel for when he's coming back. If he's not coming back anytime soon, obviously we're going to have to find someone to bring him in. But right now, Reeder's our guy, and he's pretty much been the guy. He's played, I haven't looked at the minutes, but I think he's played sort of a greater percentage than Spillane. And he was very, very good at practice today. I thought he was. I've coached a lot of great goaltenders, and I always look to see how they are at practice and if they're sharp and their rebound control and all of that. He was bang on, and that was good to see. Spirit was good. Could have been a disaster. Could have been pretty tough. A lot of those guys had a pretty close connection. Remember, there's a loyalty there too. Every time you get a weekly paycheck, that means your coach is endorsing you and your performance. Before the trade deadline, anybody could have been traded. To the best of my knowledge, this program didn't trade anyone at the trade deadline. There are guys in that locker room that they could have traded that for the future of the Sundog program that would have benefited a lot of the other programs. They didn't. I'm not going to get into names. If you're a fan of the team, your favorite player could have been traded at the deadline, and some guy coming in that obviously wasn't that valuable to the other team, playoff-bound team, and then you would have had, I don't know, maybe more of the same. 1-goal losses, disappointment for fans, certainly disappointment for everybody. They kept everybody here, and I got a good feeling in the locker room that they're gonna give everything. I put a number on the board, 2. That's all I want to hear about. I want to hear about Wednesday, Friday. I don't want to hear about driving to where we're going to drive to. So I want to talk about one game, and that's tomorrow. And then after tomorrow's game, we'll worry about Wednesday's game. And one thing at a time. Just that's it, one game at a time. I think you already heard that Rycroft, using their last names because I don't know their first names. What's his first name?
Damon.
Yes, Damon Rycroft did suffer a concussion over the weekend, and he's doubtful for this week. I'm not a doctor. I haven't examined him. I haven't seen a report. You won't expect to see him this week, probably, certainly because I believe it's his second concussion of the year. Tremendous loss. I hear he's a very talented player. The players I spoke with echoed those sentiments. And at the end of the day, we just move on. We have to move on. I took him. We had him up at center. Obviously one of your top forwards, and we just slowly erase him, put him down at the end of the board, and then you look, you shuffle, somebody else goes in there. It's now somebody else's turn to shine. Somebody else's turn to be on the first power play. Somebody else's turn to play 4-on-4. Somebody else's time in the last minute of play to go out and score the winning goal. Somebody else's last time or opportunity to go out and protect the lead when they pull the goalie and we're 5-on-6. It's just how it works. Corey Toy's back in the lineup. How does that shuffle things? We'll have to see. So there's a lot of opportunity for these guys. A lot of these guys want to play next year. I basically just, all I told them was this. Here's the deal. Practice hard every day. Come prepared. Be professionals. Be good people in the community with the fans, with the staff, and everything. You do those things, your performance will speak for itself. And there's not a doubt in my mind, a great deal of these guys can be back here next year. And, you know, you'll start a new year. It's the first thing I said to him this morning. I said, I don't think there's not a guy in the locker room. There's not a guy in sport or a woman in sport that doesn't start the season saying, we're going to win the championship. That's your goal. I asked how many guys had a ring in the room. Championship ring, junior, college, pro, championship ring. You earn a ring, they last forever. They put them in boxes and bank vaults, and they give them to grandchildren, and they do all crazy stuff with their rings. And that's obviously something that they started out. Their goal was that. So you should probably give them a lot of credit. I went through their last 10 games. I saw what they've done. Yeah, I know they've lost their last 5. But if you look how they've lost them, and you look at the fact that the other night they were down 2-0, they made it 2-1. They were down 3-1, they made it 3-3. They went into a unbelievable shootout. And then all of a sudden, when you get to those shootouts, it's old. It's not old time hockey anymore. It's anybody's. But it's a road. In my mind, they did what they needed to do. On the road, my formula was always 50%. Okay, so in my mind, they won those games on the road. They won the games. They got their point. And it's certainly to get them from an opponent from another conference. If you got that point or gave that point to another opponent in our rink from the same conference, that bites a little bit because of playoffs. But outside the conference, who cares? You got your point on the road. At home, my standards have always been 75%. So out of every 4 games, I expect you to get 6 points. Okay, you don't have to win 3 games. You know, you can do it any combination, but you got to get 75%. So for all you mathematicians out there, when it all shakes down, at the end of the day, you've got a pretty solid winning percentage, and you're in the playoffs. You're not just in the playoffs. You're maybe hosting first round. You don't have to play the juggernaut in the league. That was their year, and it works out. So that's kind of where we are. Obviously, we're not in that situation. We're not fooling anybody. We're not thinking that. It is what it is. Whatever that record is, it is. But the positive is what I'm going to dwell on. Great guys in the locker room, seasoned pros mixed in with young veterans, great ownership group, great management group. What a wonderful building to play. What a beautiful scenery this valley of yours. And the big thing is you just got to keep playing. Got to keep playing and keep preparing. And, you know, I've been around a lot of, I would consider great coaches. Bob Johnson, who coined the phrase, "It's a great day for hockey," was in the best mood of his life, whether it was an 8-1 loss when he was coaching Calgary, 8-1 loss, or an 8-1 win in the NHL. George Gwiazdecki at Denver, unbelievable coach. Andy Murray, I was influenced by him when I was with a minor league team with the Los Angeles Kings. Spent time with him in Los Angeles in his summer camps, training camps for their pros, and main camp for 2 weeks. And it goes on and on and on. The guys I've been influenced, of course, the guys I've coached against. I've coached against a lot of great coaches. And at the end of the day, the way they're a day-to-day guy too. All those guys are day-to-day. They're all day-to-day. That's just how it is. You just have to move on.
Did you guys ever think we'd have to put a time limit on a press conference?
Okay, the only thing I want to say is I just saw what I just said. I'm going to sound kind of like a hypocrite, but I just saw that tomorrow night Kyle Hood is going to tie the record for most Sundogs games played, and then his next game after that, he'll break the record. How exciting is that?
Awesome.
Do you know what it's like time putting those skates on and going out and banging around? Ice on your bonding dowel, going home, coming back. He's been doing it 260 times. How cool is that? So are there any questions?
We are on a time limit, so for the media that attended, we will open it up to questions for everybody, but we do have a bit of a time crunch, guys. So, Peter, we'll start with you.
All right, this question's for Chris and Brad. You know, why don't you think Marco was able to be successful in the last 3 seasons? You know.
That's a tough question.
What was the question?
Why don't we think Marco had success the last 3 seasons? And I can't give you a straight answer. You know, David can tell you far more than me because I've never coached a game and he's coached plenty. You got to have some bounces. You got to have some luck in many, many ways. Not only on the ice, but off the ice as well. I can just tell you this year, that's the only year I can speak to, we haven't gotten many bounces. Now, a part of getting bounces is creating those bounces. But we haven't had much puck luck, as they say, this year. And, you know, I would say that's one of the biggest things is things didn't fall our way. We lost Damon earlier in the year for 21 games with a concussion, and that was a significant blow. And it definitely contributed to the start we had. And although we've played better the second half of the season, our record isn't indicative of that. But I don't think that there's anything that jumps out. I just think that, again, a bit of puck luck would have helped.
When did you think about possibly making a coaching change? And, you know, how hard was it to actually make that change?
Oh, I don't know that it's appropriate for us to discuss any sort of time frame. I don't think that's fair to Marco or Chris. And what was your second question?
It was how hard was it to actually go ahead and make the change, bring in a new coach?
It's excruciating. You know, you're negatively impacting someone's livelihood, and that's never a fun feeling. It's never something you look forward to. You know, I like Marco and Chris a lot. Even if I didn't like them, it still wouldn't make it any easier. And no, it's never fun. There's never.
I could add to that it was very difficult. The group contemplated it, and it's really easy to sit there and say, you know, lock yourself in a room and kind of go over things. We got to fire the coach. Then go out there and put a name and a face to that coach. Understand the family life they have. I mean, Marco's got 5 great kids. Chris has beautiful daughters. And you start adding all that up, and it's not as simple as it looks anymore. And so it was very hard. The ownership group took it very seriously. We looked at every possibility and every scenario. And we just got to a point where we felt it was necessary to make that change.
Anybody else with any questions? Bill?
When were players and staff informed of this decision?
Yesterday.
We notified both the coaches and the players yesterday, and the staff part of yesterday and today.
Any other questions out there, guys? Lynn?
Are you hiring a replacement for Chris?
The answer is no. We will eliminate that position going forward. It's just at this level, there are relatively few teams in our league that have an assistant. It's not that it's not needed, but when you look at the economics of it and what you get out of the position, it makes it difficult to continue down that road.
Any questions out there before we close things down, guys?
One more. David, you know, I know you haven't had a chance to even watch the team play very many games, but, you know, in your mind, after one practice, what's the main thing that you hope to change going in to the end of the season and in the next season?
Well, number one thing is the players plus minus. Their ability to play 5-on-5. They're just, they just have to look at it. The minus is what strikes me. So we have to become better, obviously, in our own zone, 5-on-5, become more responsible. And maybe it's been puck luck, but I think that there's got to be a real commitment to that.
How do you change? I know you said the team hasn't, got the bounces it's needed. It's had so many one-loss games this season and last season. How do you change that?
I heard a saying the other day: if it's not working, you're not working hard enough. So it's obviously not working. I'm not going to say they're not working hard enough, but I will make sure that they understand that the prevailing message here has to be they have to prepare and they have to battle, and they got to do it for 60 minutes or 65 or however long it takes till it's over.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you to our panel as well. Sundogs back at it tomorrow and Wednesday, first home games in a month. And welcome to our new head coach. So,
Thanks.
Appreciate it, guys. David will be available for a little bit, but he does have a couple of things going on he needs to get ready for tomorrow as well.
That's loquacious.
You would have a coach's show tonight at Tailgaters. 6 to 7.
Yeah, sure.
He's going to take a shot.
David, when you wrap up here, can you go exit?